Things have been pretty quiet in the commodities markets since the January USDA report. So in this week's Bottom Line, Neil Melancon begins a two-part series on market conditions prior to spring planting. And Neil, I understand there's a bit of disparity right now between current prices and the supply and demand picture.
There is, Mike. We're coming down from the 2008 historic prices, and the price bubble certainly has burst from there. However, with $10 soybeans and $4.50 corn, this is not exactly prices to be worried about. Historically, these would have been demand rationing prices just 3 years ago, and if we look at the average commodity price historically, it raises some questions as to why we are at the prices we're at now, given the large carryouts we're going into '09 with. Starting with corn, the average price from 2000 to 2006, before prices really started to take off, was $2.24, and the average carryout was 1.44 billion bushels. That's compared with a 1.6 billion bushel carryout in 2007, where the average prices were $4.34, and 833 million bushels in 2008 for the carryout, with an average price of $6 even. Over to soybeans, the 2000 to 2006 average price for beans was $5.25, with an average carryout of 249 million bushels. That's compared to a carryout of 205 million bushels in 2007, the average price being $10.15, and a 225 million bushel carryout in '08, with an average price of $12.75. So where we find ourselves now is in a position where prices are higher than the carryout would suggest. Even before 2000, there was a proportional relationship between the carryout and the price, meaning that if we had a large carryout, the price would go down. Farmers would plant less, the price would come back up as supply went down, and so forth and so on. Now where we are over the last 2 years is carryout has remained about the same on the historic average, but prices have been way higher. So that begets the question, why? We'll have to answer that for you next week, or at least come up with some answer. That's the bottom line. I'm Neil Melancon. Back to you, Mike.
Thanks, Neil. And of course, to hear Neil's reports every day, you can tune in to the Louisiana Farm Bureau Radio Network. For a list of stations in your area, click on over to twilatv.org and we'll tell you where you can listen in.